All right. Looks like we have a lot of you that are in. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us for our Q2 national meeting. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm Megan, and I'm the Vice President of the International Nurse Coaches Association. And I'm super excited for our night together. And we will have a special guest speaker, Dr. Kim, who's here with us, and she is amazing. I have personally got to know her over the last about year. And we've been on each other's podcasts, and they were just really great. I'm excited for her topic because I think whether we're in the hospital or we're building a business, we can all identify with that burnout or even just where we're working so hard and striving and sometimes feeling like we're stuck and overwhelmed. So this is going to be a really great session. She's going to talk to us for about 45 minutes and have a opportunity to answer some questions. And then the last little bit of our time together, we will have some regional business. First, I want to say welcome to Mandy Carlisle, who has stepped up to lead the Central region, which I am so excited about because it allows me to take off one of the hats I've been wearing and be able to focus on just the national level business. So thank you so much, Mandy. Uh, in the business time, she will get to introduce herself a little bit and talk about some of the things that she's excited to help bring to our regions, the central region, but also just encouraging the other regions with some great ways to get connected and support each other. So let's just go ahead and I'll hand it off to Mandy to do our mindfulness. And then we will let Dr. Kim take us away and tell us a little bit about herself and her topic tonight.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for that introduction. I am so excited to be in this role, which we will talk much about later, but I would love to start by leading an awareness practice with you all. And I like to turn on some gentle music when I do my awareness practices. That's just part of my practice. So I'm going to do that for you all tonight. So we're just going to take a moment to arrive fully in this moment together. Notice whatever's supporting you tonight.
Your
Maybe
speaker is not working. Please go to settings. Try.
notice your feet against the floor, your hands in your lap, the air moving in and out of your body. There's nowhere else for you to be in this moment. A slow breath in through your nose and a gentle exhale. Bring an awareness to your heart center and notice any sensations that are present here tonight, maybe warmth or openness. Know whatever sensation is present is. As nurse coaches, we spend so much of our time holding space for others, listening, supporting, witnessing. Today, just allow yourself to experience what it feels like to be held as well. Simply connected. Know that you do not have to carry everything alone. You're part of something larger than yourself. You're part of a community of healers, a community of men and women learning, growing, coming. Perhaps there's someone in this circle tonight whose presence has encouraged you. Someone whose words helped you feel seen, courage, given you courage or inspired you. Take a moment to silently offer gratitude for that connection. Take a moment to silently repeat, I belong here. I am supported. I do not have to do this all alone. Together, we are stronger than we are alone. Take one final deep breath in and a slow exhale out. Slowly bring your awareness back to the room. You're still on mute, Megan.
Thank you. Just realized I was just saying thank you, Mandy, for doing that for us. It's such a great way to start a meeting because we have all been busy all day long, and we're here to just learn together. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for taking time with us today out of your busy schedule and sharing your knowledge with us. I'm going to let you go ahead and uh, take over, and I'll stop sharing so that you can share your presentation. And you can tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your practice, and then your presentation.
Perfect. Let me see. Hi, everybody. This is the presentation. Oops. Let me see. All right. Do you guys see present?
Yes, we do see.
Yes?
There you go. You got it.
Perfect.
I love it when technology cooperates.
All right. Let me put you guys on. I love that everybody came here, and I don't know if you guys are thinking, you're looking at the title and it's like, oh, high achievers. I'm not a high achiever. Who had that thought? Well, let me just tell you that you guys are a group of people who are seeking second career, and by that definition, I think you guys are all high achievers. I think you guys really like achieving and helping people, and that's why you guys are here today. So it's just really good, and I'm grateful for Megan to giving me this opportunity to share what I've been learning in my journey. And this is something that I'm passionate about because I have a 6 and 8-year-old boy, so we're eating dinner, and I have to explain to them why mommy's going to be gone, for this time. And I told them, how we talk about our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors? That's exactly what I'm going to do to adults. So they were like, wow, that's so cool. So here we are. So my name is Dr. Kim. I'm a child and adult psychiatrist, and I have a private practice in Texas. And I also have a speaking and group coaching business called Eugene Kim LLC. But this RPC method really came from my lowest place where I was spiraling. I never felt good enough. And I think I'm not perfect, but I think I'm starting to figure out, how to unbreak that code. So I want to kind of share that with you. So this is a disclaimer saying that this doesn't, start the patient-physician relationship. This is for encouragement and educational empowerment purposes only. So as high achievers, I'm just going to do this. I want to see more of you guys. Do you mind if I just finagle a little bit with the technology so I can see both of you guys and the presentation? Sorry about that. Okay. Hold on. Because I want to see your beautiful faces when I'm presenting. So, let me see what I can do. Okay. I'll just do full screen. Okay. There you go. I'll do this. All right. Okay. So I know that you guys are maybe working, and Megan, maybe you can clarify, but you guys finished nursing school, you guys had some careers, and you guys decided to do coaching because there's something unmet needs or unmet needs outside, right? That you want to kind of break free from, right? Or maybe you're just like me, you just got burnt out from current healthcare and you're just seeking a more sustainable, course of life. Whenever you're starting a new project, right? Most achievers love metrics. Is any of you guys like Excel queens? We love Excels. We love data. We like to know that we're moving forward, right? And this gives us evidence that we're progressing or growing or making impact, right? This metrics is a really healthy use of numbers. But the problem that I encountered, and I don't know if you did, is that when our identity and self-worth becomes tied to performance, right? When the numbers are not looking quite right or where we're not making positive impact, it's really discouraging. And this is where the burnout is inevitable. And maybe you had this thought kind of cross your mind. If I progress, then I'm okay. But if I don't, then I'm a complete failure. Did anybody kind of have that thought in the past in this journey? Yes, I'm seeing nodding heads. Yep. So the objective of this talk is we're going to examine the neuroscience behind performance, reward, and burnout cycle. And we're going to discuss how high achievers like you and me can obtain a sustainable and resilient drive for success. And we're going to discuss the RPC method, reflect, protect, and connect, as a practical framework for a self-nurturing and burnout-resistant mindset. Okay? My main point really of this is to give you guys a space to be human first and achiever second. And I'll kind of explain how those two identities were contending each other. But I want us to really be human first. And I have a really cute exercise, really real and raw exercise at the end, and we'll kind of talk about that and practice that in this session, okay? So if you look at this cycle, this is kind of how I visualize the performance, success, and burnout cycle. So when we are achievers, we look at performance, right? And then we get success or sense of achievement. But somehow we lead to burnout. Why? So performance is an external validation, is something you want from outside to validate what you're doing, right? And when you get success, you get positively reinforced by the success, right? Everybody tracking? But there's a step here called desensitization. You know, when we're talking about substance use or, drug and alcohol, there's a tolerance, right? And desensitization is almost like that success is not good enough and you need more success. Do you guys kind of track what I'm saying? So this level of success is never enough anymore. Now I need more success. I need more external validation. I get success, but we get desensitized and the cycle goes on and on and on, right? Okay. So what this ends up happening is that we're swinging back and forth between the super inspired, super motivated, super hyperactive and overdrive self, right? Succeeding, and achieving. And we're flopping to super drained, finding no meaning, exhausted, and empty. Do you guys kind of feel yourself in this pendulum swing all the time? Yeah. And neuroscience behind this is that, we thought that fight or flight was only cortisol, but actually we thought dopamine was, rewards, drugs and feeling high, but actually stress can increase dopamine too. It's almost like you're getting that high from achieving or relieving that stress internally. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm never good enough. Now I find success. There's a relief. So that in itself is a reward. Do you guys kind of track what I'm saying? Okay. So this causes when our body's going through dopamine rushes and cortisol rushes and nothing to catch us when we fall, it leads to exhaustion, not only, mentally, but also physical fatigue. Yes? All right. And what leads is a burnout, where you lose purpose in life because you cannot keep this level up for success when you're constantly desensitized. Okay? Now, the solution part. So it feels like when you're in this burnout cycle that you're in a hamster wheel and you cannot get off. And it's almost, I don't know if you guys ever had this moment. There were so many moments where I started business and it's almost like the success kept the hamster wheel running and it was running so fast that I didn't know how to even slow down. Did it ever feel like that for you guys? Right. And then I'm like, I have to keep this up or I'm going to die in this hamster wheel, right? Like you kind of have to choose chaos versus chaos, right? So I want to offer you an alternative solution, is to really get off the hamster wheel and that cycle of doom and really making steps more of a staircase that's grounded and still make progress, but not this fight or flight cortisol and dopamine rushes all the time. Okay? So let me see if I can open up the chat. Who here is interested in talking about that? You can raise your hand. All right. So we talked about needing external validation using metrics or, even positive praise or what your friend says, what your family says, looking for positive reinforcement and getting desensitized. So this is what what I want to give you is internal validation, not external validation, still getting the positive reinforcement and then getting internal satisfaction. So now you're no longer seeking for external validations and metrics and what the other people are saying, is validating internally. So neuroscience wise, instead of always dopamine rush and cortisol rush, and in itself, dopamine rush and cortisol rush is not bad, right? It gives us that drive. It gives us that creativity. It gives us that reward. We're achievers and we have to achieve. But the problem is that there's nothing to catch us and it's not sustainable to be in this high cortisol, high dopamine state all the time. So what happens when we fall is oxytocin and serotonin. And oxytocin is, if you imagine, they say that oxytocin happens when you're breastfeeding your baby, is when there's a comfort and connection, right? And care, right? When there's distress, oxytocin calms people down. Serotonin is when you have low serotonin, increased irritability and aggression. So it's more calming effect. And how they do this with serotonin is that it slows down the mind spiral. Okay. So if you can imagine, dopamine and cortisol is high, hyperactivity, but serotonin is going to put the perspective in there. Okay. So we're going to, I'm going to propose RPC method that will slowly increase the oxytocin and serotonin levels so that we can swing back safely and then go back to the achievement side. But, a lot of you guys are kind of thinking, well, Dr. Kim, this sounds great, but there's a voice living in my head that's always saying I'm not good enough, or I could be doing more, and why aren't you doing that? Like, oh, I should have known better. That voice is still living in my head. So how can I even stop this inner voice? Is anybody kind of feeling that? Right? So this is what I want to kind of explain to you, how this inner voice, negative critical voice, might have started. So this is us in the timeline of our life. Okay, this is us with that inner voice. But what happened was, when we were younger, something happened that planted that inner voice. So there is a landmark study really explaining what epigenetic is. So genetic is the genes, right? Like how the genes are expressed. Epigenetic is how certain genes get chosen to be expressed based on external circumstances. So this landmark study was an amazing one because they got a bunch of rats, okay? And they split into groups of high nurturing mother and baby rat and low nurturing mother and a baby rat. And they found out that those baby rats grow up, and the ones that receive high nurturing was actually more resilient to stress and feeling anxious than the low nurturing rats. But the hopeful part was the crossbreed again. So let's say that they all grew up and they crossed it. Even if it was not a biological mother rat, getting the nurture later actually improved the stress tolerance even when they didn't receive it initially. So there's a lot of hope here for all of us dealing with negative inner child voice, because we can, the term self-parent or reparent ourselves so that we can actually be more resilient and truly successful with healthy voices in our heads. Okay? So meaning how you were praised, kind of have the healthier mindset. You can kind of put things into perspective and have that oxytocin and serotonin flowing. But if you had a very hypercritical, parent figure, or who only cared about performances, then that's the only way that you measure how you're doing in the family or what they think of you. Then it's really hard to see who you are outside of your performance. Okay? So what we're going to do is, instead of the need for external validation, we're going to change it to internal validation. How do we validate ourselves? Now, little caveat here is that I don't know all of you guys, but the most common question I get whenever I talk about this is, well, my parents really didn't raise me with positive validation, so I'm screwed, right? Or do I even address this with my elderly parent, now that I know this? And this is what I actually gave a similar talk to a group of physician residents, and they asked me the same question, right? So I told them that in the Bible verse, it says, don't throw your pearls to the swine. And how I like to do that is, your narrative is so precious and your journey is so precious, and share it with people who will respect it. Because a lot of times, me included, I try to gain understanding from other people who didn't get this concept, right? And I wasted a lot of energy and place. And that's why I want to kind of focus on, what can we do now, moving forward? We're raising kids. We have, clients to take care of. What can we do now instead of waiting for something that might not even come, right? So that's why I want to kind of make it more practical and doable and realistic for all of us. This is where my method reflect, protect, and connect comes. So I want you guys to kind of imagine, all you guys are coaches. So I'm going to read this out loud. Imagine a client immigrated from South Korea at the age of 10. She was bullied in Korea for being tall and chubby, and also in the United States for being Korean. She was raised by typical Asian parents who were not emotionally available, verbally and emotionally challenging, and only cared about her performance. Now that they're older, she feels the internal tension to honor her parents, but also to voice the negative parts of her childhood experience before they die, hoping for reconciliation and understanding. She's in your office asking for insight into her body image issues, the constant need to prove her worth, and potential conversation with her parents. Okay? So I want you guys to kind of think about this. And I want you to write in the chat, what would be your immediate response to this client? Don't be wise, extra thing. Just write down your immediate response when she's just vomiting all the life issues. Yeah. So Mandy says, tell me one thing that you do like about yourself. Pause. I acknowledge your feelings and experiences. Yep. Listen and validate her experience. And you guys are pro at this because you guys are coaches. What makes you want to tell your parents your perspective, and what are you looking to gain from that, right? These are very thoughtful, thought-provoking questions, right? Right. I think Taylor and Layla had similar idea of what is your goal in this, right? That's what coaches do. Yep. So now I want you to kind of shift gears and see what aspects of that story did you resonate with the most. And I'm going to give you guys the scenario back again. Yeah, being bullied. Yep, focusing on performance and wanting my parents to acknowledge the impact. Elderly parents, loss of pressure, not heard and seen for who I am, having a voice. And by the way, this scenario is summary of my life. So now you guys know that I'm like super into being vulnerable and can you guys see that human experience there's so many parallels, right? So it's a beautiful thing to be a human. Conditional love, being Asian and not getting support from Asian parents, wanting to be understood. Yeah, Stephanie. Yeah, first generation Filipino American. See, you guys like just connected with bits and pieces of my story right away, right? We're being human together, right? In the same room. Now, you don't have to share this in the chat unless you want to, but now that you got the touch point from my story and the touch point from your story, what do you remember? Like any snippets of the memories, the situation, who was there, what was I wearing? I want you to really be present with that memory that comes up. And as you're pulling up that memory from your memory box, you can share this if you want to. What emotions do you remember remembering that? Feeling misunderstood. Overwhelmed. Not good enough. Feeling of being different. Isolation. Alone. Hurt. Confused. Yep. Being ridiculed for showing emotions and you blocking it out. Not worthy. So regardless of the outcome, like of what you guys went through, can we just protect your intention and effort of who you were? See what I'm saying? Is that even when you got bullied and you got hurt, and maybe there are some moments that you really struggled to stand up for yourself, right? Maybe you thought, I need to speak about this, right? That tension and intention and effort trying to do the right thing. And Mandy led a beautiful meditation, and I want us to kind of sit in that space, honoring your memory, honoring your perspective in that, and really validating that inner you, the little you, and just say, yeah, that happened. Just appreciate that. Now, when we really appreciate that little you in the past going through all these things, and let's fast forward to that scene where the client just vomits their life story at you in your room, what do you think your response would be to that person now? And how would it, even if you're saying the same thing, how do you think will be different? And you can write that in the chat. Warmer, more compassionate. What will you do differently? I'm so sorry that you had that experience. I'll hold that with you. Hold space for the experience. More open to listening, empathizing, and thanking them for being vulnerable. And not to say that your previous answers were wrong, right? I think they were all professional questions to ask, right? But now that we did a very mini RPC method of self-empathy and exploring that yourself, exploring your humanness, our tone changes. The width of the room that you can hold changes. Because now you're remembering, oh, I have exactly similar situation that I went through. And when I coach group of therapists, I say that your story is the best tool you have for your clients. And I don't think it changes for nurse coaches here. Is that your story, understanding you is the best thing you can do for your family, your husband, your kids, your clients that walks into the door, is that you have to understand your story in a very protective, and connected and reflective, space for you first. Yeah, moving from sympathy to empathy and thinking about the past would lead me to have more empathy. Yeah. More pauses, less hamster wheel, and more stairs. Right? So really the difference of RPC method that I've seen in my clients is that you're moving from being reactive, still professional, but reactive to proactive. Less detached and more connected. Less confused and more aware. Less dysregulated and more regulated. And less dissatisfied and satisfied. And I think as bold as this claim might be, I think a little bit of RPC method can really slow the hamster wheel so that you can even imagine what regulated and internally validated you could even look like. So we're achievers, right? We're still measuring time over performance. But what if at your lowest times you can do the RPC method? Right? I think that's how you lead to true resilience that will last for a lifetime. So my question to you after this talk is, where would the RPC method take you in the future? And these are my references. And this is my YouTube channel. I'm kind of slowing down. I told Megan that I'm homeschooling the little boy, so I'm slowing down on the podcast, but there's still good episodes there, especially the one with Megan, so come check it out. And I have the CEU link at the end. But I'll open it up for Megan to take over and I can answer any questions.
Well, I'd love for anybody to ask a question, either, put your hand up or type it in the chat. So while you're thinking about that, I'll just say, I am a recovering high achiever and have come from the hospital to being in sales, which was like fed the hamster wheel and kept me running. And as I had to step out of that, and as I stepped into this space of nurse coaching, having to learn how to slow that down. And I think this is so important for us as one, if you're still in the hospital, you're definitely running on that hamster wheel that can feel very out of control, and that there's not a lot that you get to do to impact or change things. But this allows us to say, well, what can I change within myself? And then when you're building a business, we all want that desired outcome, that we want to make an impact, which I think is beautiful. It's like coming from such a beautiful heart. But when we aren't healthy ourselves in taking up this space, then we actually are not as effective. And I spent about 2 years trying to unwind this. And so I just so appreciate this. And one of the things that I felt very called to do when I started my business was I could not look at any metrics, which was so hard. It was do the thing that you feel called to do, and you will have the impact that you are called to have. And it has been really cool after 2 years being able to look, and I did look because I had to report to my board, here's what we're doing. And I was like, whoa, guess what? Just taking that next step and doing the right thing, trusting yourself, you get there. You actually get there more effectively than if you are just trying to do it to meet what somebody tells you is success. So I just thought I would share that, and then we'll open it up. If there are, I'll check the chat here, but if you have a question or a thought, maybe you want to share your journey with being a high achiever, because I do think they go hand in hand with most healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
All right, I don't see any questions yet or comments. In some thank yous. We appreciate you, Dr. Tam.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Mandy, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Kim. So I was just wondering how you like to implement this when you see the need for the RPC to go into effect. Do you like to journal? Do you like to just sit quietly and think? How do you exactly like to implement that method?
Yeah, so RPC method is kind of like the spine behind my online course. So I have a online course called Be Still to Move Forward. And what it does is, using the RPC acronym, I'm going through the CBT method of understanding your emotions and thoughts and behaviors, because I don't know if you're like me. Even 5-6 years ago, I couldn't even name my own emotions. And I'm a psychiatrist. So then my husband would be like, something is going on right there. You need to figure it out. That's how out of touch I was. So then I had to go through more concrete CBT methods. So the first module is kind of like naming your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. And the middle part is actually visiting the inner child. So we got a little snippet taste of that, of what memories did you have, and then really sit with that memory and reframe that memory. And then I have the third module, which is really the self-parenting module, where I'm like, okay, your behavior tends to be this, and this is kind of your defense mechanism you have developed, maybe minimization or avoidance, right? And then so How's that working for you? Probably not well. So what are other options? So we have that troubleshooting kind of self-parenting module. So RPC is kind of like that acronym that reminds you to be grounded on, okay, are you reflecting? Are you protecting your inner child and intention and effort? And are you connecting with yourself? So that module is really the skill set that explains, what RPC method is really, optimized RPC method could be.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about self-reflection is that if you have reflected enough, it's almost like you don't have to open up the can of worms again. You know what I mean? Like if you know your story, like you don't have to revisit the painful thing. It is resolved. And how I like to view it is like, it's a book that you read that sits on your bookshelf, and you can revisit it when you want to. So upfront effort, but it pays off, in decades of sanity. I think we had some questions. Okay. Work with nurses and not only. Yeah. Yeah, looking at social media keeps me on the wheel, and I've learned to use socials for marketing only. Very intentional. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Social media algorithm kills all attention and focus and sanity. I'm at the beginning of my business. It's hard to generate income and disappointing as well. How do I apply RPC in the face to not burn out? Kind of like what Megan was saying is that we have to unlearn what made us successful and how we defined success. And this was something that I recently had to do. So just another vulnerable point. So my parents lived off my grandma's savings. So they didn't know how to earn and manage money. I tend to be the hyper responsible one. So I already sensed that my parents don't know money. And I was very hypersensitive to managing money well. So it's almost like I always have to be 2 steps forward, before life. And I will feel that was a level of comfort that I was looking for. But my decision to whittle down my business and do homeschool, that was like a leap of faith for me. And that in itself, outside looking in, a lot of people might think that I'm stupid or crazy, but then I'm redirecting and redefining success so that it's not always the level of expectation or financial security or external significance that I'm going for is changing the internal validation. So beginning of the business is really tough. I mean, I think everybody who ran a business before, first 2 to 3, 5 years is where you really learn to flow. But if you had this maybe nugget of an idea of, okay, maybe the metrics is not the only way to measure growth, and maybe it's not the only way to measure success, then I think that will kind of help you in the longer run and make it more sustainable. Does that make sense, Layla?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
If I can, I'd love to just share something that I think is one of the reasons for this association is that oftentimes, we're looking at social media and we're seeing like success of the nurse coaches in our circle. And so then we have this expectation. And we may not even know their story. We may not know that they've been doing this for 5 years, or we may not know that one of their things is that they consult with companies versus clients. And so we think they're promoting that they're having, they've replaced their income as a nurse and they're maybe saying, I've made 6 figures, right? And so then we're comparing, which comparison will steal all joy from your life, are the story that we're living, that we know all of the details, to what we're seeing on social media. And when I was living in my perfectionism and my high achieving, you would think I had it all together, when behind the scenes my life looked nothing like my collated version of social media. And so I think part of this group is really to help us in the reality of starting business. The first 3 years, you don't really make a lot of money because you're trying to grow and you're investing. And so it can get really discouraging when our expectation is that I'm going to step into this and I'm going to come out of having trained, getting my certification, and I'm going to replace my income. So oftentimes our expectations set us up for disappointment and success. And one of the skills that I love from DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, is check the facts, right? So when I'm sitting in this, like, well, I'm just not successful and my business isn't producing, replacing my income, I go and I read the Harvard Business Review and check the facts to say, is that expectation a reasonable expectation? Or am I really setting myself up for burnout because I feel like I'm failing? So I don't know if that helps also as you're doing this work, part of it in sitting in it is understanding your past, but also understanding your present and where maybe we get in our own way sometimes. Um, and we might feel better if we know the truth about business. And so hopefully that's one of the things that you will find here, that we're here to support each other and to grow something that no one even really knows about, right? This isn't mainstream what we're doing. And so we have a long ways to go. And that's why we have to do it together because it is really hard.
Yeah. And I would definitely piggyback that when I was doing it my way, I made some really bad, and that's the thing about marketing, and we'll get into, we'll all market our own way, but these courses that makes you, oh, create a YouTube channel that will monetize in 6 months, or, you'll be the coach and you'll replace your incomes in 1 year. I got into one of them and I spent $5,000 trying to make an online course and sell it. It was a huge bad investment. And I think this is why I like, you know, I mean, you don't have to buy my course, but it's like the RPC method of really reflecting. And somebody said knowing your why is free. And I feel like if you understood your style, like let's say that in the process of getting rid of all the negative voices that our childhood gave us, right? Actively working on that so that you're reacting with nurturing voice inside your heart and inside your head, and understanding what your strengths are, understanding how you like to do things if it wasn't for the perfectionist inside you. Like those time investment that I have spent for me, I think paid off more because they gave me a guardrail of, oh, I'm not going to go that far in social media because that's not me, right? So those guardrails really protected me to make it sustainable, because if you let the marketing speak to you, then your dollar is, sky's the limit on how much you're going to spend to get their promise that they want. So maybe being still and really forward, especially in the business, is going to be a really great opportunity to set those guardrails for yourself so that you don't overextend or overspend, your energy. Any comments, questions?
I'll ask one more of you. What is a sign that maybe you need to, like, something's happening inside of you? I should try this reflect, protect, connect method.
I would say, so my husband and I are going on 12 years of marriage right now. So year 9 was the lowest for us. And the background story is that we got married in medical school. So we were like medical school, residency, baby, fellowship. And we didn't really work on our marriage, but that was when it was plumbing down. And I think when I actually got the time to sit down, I realized I was snappy. I had these rigid rules for me and for other people. I was judgmental. And I don't know if you're like me. I said some things that was like really hypercritical and like not sensitive at all to my family members, so, and then they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Or you try to help out people without them asking for your help and then they get hurt. I don't know if this happened to you, right? But this happened to me so many times. So then what happened was after I gave birth to my first kid and I realized, oh, this dynamic is beyond me and it's more my parents' figure. So that started the journey of starting the therapy and saying, I need to do something different for my kids. But if you're overly snappy, right? If you feel like your heart is always on a hamster wheel and you're like, I know that this is not sustainable, I just don't know what else. Maybe give the RPC method a try where you're like, well, the metrics are saying this and I have this, but I don't know what's right or what's wrong. If there's a confusion, you just don't know where to go. It might be worth visiting your past and childhood past and really connect with yourself and really get to know that little girl. And I think that will really help, kind of like what Megan is saying, take that next step because light will be just right before your toes, not all the way, but just in front of you that you take the next step and next step.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I am dropping in our chat the link to get your 1 hour CE. So thank you so much, Dr. Kim, for sharing your wisdom. I know that this is something that people can leave here tonight and absolutely put into practice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Peggy, I found that being held in the comfort of a nurse committed coach circle has helped to validate and sustain the learning of building a practice. No judgment. Yay, that's so amazing
Yay.
because that's absolutely like the heart and the goal behind us being here together. So, Stacy, I'm so glad it was good timing in your life. I think every day there is an opportunity to do this work because every day something is going to come up that we get triggered over. We live in a crazy world.
Yeah.
There's endless opportunity to practice this skill. So, thank you, Dr. Kim. We
Yeah, of
appreciate you.
course. Yeah, of course. I wanted to share that I have a group coaching cohort happening in October. It's Tuesday at 3 Central Time. If you guys are interested, let Megan know and I'll let you guys have that information. But nothing, I think my YouTube has enough, free resources. So come check it out and listen to the podcast.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. We're going to jump in now to some family business and talk about some of our organizational updates. So, if you've been with us for a little bit, you saw this at the first meeting that we had at the beginning of the year when we launched. And we are checking off the things. So, yes, we are achieving. I kind of feel a little bit bad actually talking about this after the talk we just had, but we are doing it in a sustainable way. And it takes all of you to make this happen, right? Like Mandy stepping up and saying, I'll take the Central region. We've got Marjorie who stepped up and said, I'll be the marketing director. And we just keep growing. We've got our state chapters with leaders that have stepped up. So we're doing our educational offerings. So this one was one of those where you're getting CE credits. We launched our blog, woohoo, right? So, let's see, I think that's here. If you have not followed or checked out our Substack, you can find that at I-NCA, I-NC Association on Substack. If you haven't started a Substack, I think it's a really great place for nurse coaches to be. These are people who like to read long form content, and they're so encouraging, and they read your stuff and they comment. I have found it to be a place that feels like home for me because it feels like you get to know people a little bit more deeply. And I think people are just loving, the kind of content that we'll be sharing. We have an amazing editorial team. So thank you, Charis, Christine, Elise, Janice, Melissa, Tiffany, Veronica, and Melissa. Oh, Melissa, we have you on there twice. We really appreciate you. But we could not do this without you. And so we are so grateful when people step up and use their gifts and talents, because this is us working together for our dream of actually making a difference and improving people's health. So thank you so much for participating in that. And thank you to all of the leaders who have launched state chapters. We have Indiana, Pennsylvania, Missouri, New England, Illinois, the Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana district, Wisconsin, New York, South Carolina, and we have more to come in this next few months of the year. We're only halfway done. So we are growing. And even if these chapters are small, we are small but mighty and can have such an amazing impact. And I'm really excited to see us having 3 regional directors now that can work together and support our local chapters with ideas. And we have a lot of things coming in this back half of the year for additional support to help with engagement. But everything we're doing here, and I know because we went from this being a dream and a vision to where we're at today, and it does take a lot of work and time and effort. But sitting here with all of you guys today is what makes it all worth it. So, what is to come in this next quarter? I'm going to hand it over and let Marjorie talk a little bit about the marketing focus for Q3. And then I'm really excited because I do know we have quite a few nurse coaches who podcast, me being one of them, and will continue to build. But those who podcast, we're going to need you to help support that effort. But you guys, the visibility that we are creating is just getting started, and it's just really fun to be a part of. So Marjorie, I will let you introduce yourself officially and tell us a little bit about your fun background from nurse and business, and tell us about what we're going to be doing along the marketing journey.
Okay, my name is Marjorie Feria. I've been a nurse for, 20 years now. Most of it has been in the OR for 18 years, various roles, including leadership. But prior to that, I was in business, so in advertising, and then I worked in technical recruitment for a big consulting firm, and still doing marketing. And so that was about 11 years. And then after burning out from the OR, I went into nurse coaching. So I've been doing it for about 2 years. And in the process of while I'm building my business, my practice, I'm working for a PR firm in Chicago. So, and that's part-time. So I've renewed my marketing knowledge. And so I'm bringing that to the International Nurse Coaching Association. So I'm really excited that I get to apply that to such a great organization. So one of the exciting things that is coming up and we're launching on Monday at 6:30 p.m. is our marketing mentorship. So this is an opportunity, a hands-on opportunity for nurse coaches to learn about marketing and being an active part of our professional organization's marketing team. getting your hands on learning about marketing, which is going to help our organization and ultimately your business. You can apply everything that you learn. It's a benefit of being a member of our organization. And we're going to be covering social media strategy, press release writing, blog publishing, like our Substack, community engagement, and then supporting regional activities. The time commitment is about 8 hours per month. We have 6 spots available. I believe, Megan, that we are complete for this year, which is really exciting. So, and
If
then
you're interested, though, still come because
yeah,
we all know that um, life happens and people have to step back. And if you're really interested and you're dedicated and committed, we will find a way for you to participate. So uh, don't let that discourage you. So go ahead. You would just scan this. This first meeting will be informational because we really need people who have looked at their schedule and said, like, I can make space for this, and it's not going to overwhelm me because we want people to not to give out of their just the last bits they have and contribute. We don't want to contribute to people's burnout. So we are looking to find the right people. So just come to the informational meeting because you might find out, actually, I don't think that that's a good fit for me after we talk about it a little bit more. So yeah, thanks.
yeah, thank you. It is a great opportunity. Even though, even if you don't have a marketing background, it is definitely something that you can learn. Um, we nurses are smart people, so you can do this. And the next thing that is coming up for our Q3 project is the Nurse Coach magazine. Um,
I don't know what happened to that slide. I'm sorry. It must, did I?
that That's
Yep,
okay.
you're just gonna have to
I think you just put a bullet point on that,
okay.
and that's okay. So I'll just look at my notes. This is creating a Canva template, something that will release quarterly, and it'll be designed by the marketing team and customizable by all the nurse coaches for your business. It'll be co-branded with the International Nurse Coaching Association. It's promoting our organization, but your practice as well. Having a professional organization, as you know, a lot of the other nurse specialties have their major organization behind them, and this is where we can support you. Um, there'll be some national content and maybe some snippets from our Substack. It'll be printable for trade shows, networking, meeting with clinics or clients, and it's a benefit of being part of our organization. So in the future, we hope to eventually have our own magazine where it'll be housed on our website and then hopefully printed someday and distributed. So, any questions? So exciting things ahead. But feel free to email me or message me on Facebook if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Marjorie.
you.
Okay, Mandy, welcome. And tell us a little bit about you and some of the ideas that you have been kicking around to support the central region, but all regions coming together with great ideas to continue to develop what our members need.
Yes, I am so very excited to have the opportunity to take this position. It means so, so much to me. Um, just being able to take any opportunity to talk more about nurse coaching is a really exciting thing to me. So, so I'm Mandy. I was actually just in cohort 50 of I-NCA nurse coach program. So not too long ago that I graduated. I've been a registered nurse since 2015. Most of that has been, like Marjorie, in the operating room, oddly enough. And so, yeah, I decided about a year ago to follow a career-long passion that I've had and become a nurse coach. So that's what I did. And the beginning of this year, shortly after graduating, I did get certified as a nurse coach and started my own nurse coaching business, Return to Radiance Coaching. I coach women in pivotal seasons of life that are just stressed out, burned out, and have really forgotten who they are at their core, and trying to help them remember by identity work and nervous system regulation. And it has been such a fun journey to grow and to grow alongside these women that I'm coaching. And I just have such a deep passion for it. Um, Leading is something I have always wanted to do. I've always wanted to take a leadership role. I think that I do possess leadership qualities, but I never wanted to just take a leadership role to take a leadership role. I wanted it to be very meaningful for me because I knew if it wasn't, that it would be something that would burn me out very quickly. We all know that leadership roles in the hospital often are, kind of trampled on and not treated very well. So I knew that that wasn't the leadership role for me. But when I saw this opportunity come about, I messaged Megan and asked her to tell me more about it. And I was just so excited to even be thought of as somebody that could take on this role. Um, and so it was a very easy yes for me to say yes and take on this responsibility. And I'm very excited to do so. So I am actually already a Missouri chapter leader. I helped launch the Missouri chapter when we first started. Myself and one other woman are Missouri chapter leaders. And that was really what sparked my interest with being in I-NCA and being involved in all of this, and how exciting and how fun it was. So I quickly had tons of ideas that I wanted to bring forth. So when Megan asked for some ideas for me to share, I was really excited to share those ideas. So I really think I've got lots and lots of ideas, but I think the most important thing as we are starting this community is to really started our foundation, which is the nurse coaches that make up the central region. So I really want our chapters to feel connected and supported and inspired. So one thing I would love to implement is in the central regional Facebook group is just a member spotlight every month. I'm planning on making like a Google form that anyone can fill out to apply to be the member spotlight. And really just highlight a nurse in the central, a nurse coach in the central region, give her an opportunity to tell everybody exactly what her role as a nurse coach looks like, and really just support and uplift her or him on that Facebook post. And every month I will go through and um, choose a member to spotlight that month. And that way we can all just love and support on them. The next thing I would really love to implement is kind of like a resource hub or a resource vault. This stemmed after our last chapter meeting, which was just a couple of weeks ago, where a nurse coach actually came forth and asked about some opportunities for nurse coach specific CEUs. And so that really got me thinking. I looked online and came up with a few resources, posted those in our Missouri chapter, and that was shared by another chapter leader that was in our group to another state. And so that really got me thinking about the need for just some sort of centralized hub that we can all contribute to and add resources or leadership tools, educational opportunities, things that we come across that we want everybody in the region to know about so everybody can benefit from. And then the last thing, the last idea that I have starting out is really a state success discussion. So during our central regional meetings, I'd love to take some time for the state chapter leaders to just talk about what's working, what's going well with your state chapter, what's not going so well, where do you need support. Um, Creating this space for conversation would really just allow us to learn from one another and avoid reinventing the wheel when somebody else has already done it and it doesn't work very well. It'd be great to share that with the other chapters so they don't just trip up and make the same mistake. And that way we come together and we all strengthen our chapters together through that shared knowledge and collaboration. So those are my ideas starting out. I'm very excited to start implementing them and take over this role. From Megan, I know she has been doing so much for the central regional chapter, and I hope I can fill her shoes. That's all I have to say. I'm sure they are very big shoes to fill, and I'm very grateful that she believes in me to do so. So I am very excited. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I know you are already going to do better than me because you have all these great ideas and you have the time and the talent to implement it. So thank you so much for sharing that, Mandy. I think these things, us learning together is what this is all about. And our next regional meeting is in July. So July 16th, we will send out a meeting reminder where you can sign up so that you are registered and get those updates as well. So look forward to that. And then I want to also share with you guys our next, and I got my slides all out of order, so I apologize. But our next educational event is going to be put on by Jen Schroer. And if I'm saying your last name wrong, Jen, and you're on, feel free to jump on and correct me. But she is going to be offering a 1CE event called Cycle Informed Coaching, Understanding Hormonal Patterns to Better Support Your Clients. So watch your email for more details to come. That will be our Q3 educational project. And we are looking to grow our educational offerings. And this is going to be something like Mandy said, you know, potentially even more opportunities to do it through our region. So if you have an idea of something that you want to help us with, I did one on Substack and I was just getting started on Substack, right? Mandy just graduated and is stepping in to leadership. This is not about what your resume looks like. It's what are you willing to contribute? And I find when I teach what I've learned, it actually makes me better because I will learn new things along the way. So don't let being new or green stop you because we are a safe place for you to practice what you are learning so that you can develop your leadership skills to go and take out to your community. And so the other thing that and I will close up here, and open it up for a time of question and answer. I don't know if Katie is able, I think she's here, but if she can come off mute. But Katie and I were kicking around ways for us to give back. This has been something that has helped me to develop my business because you know you have to give and let people know what you're doing and who you are in order for them to want to work with you, right? And so I did a lot of work in my community. I work with a lot of women who are coming out of toxic relationships from parents with their significant others, their children, you know, that they're breaking off generational cycles. And so I was working and giving my services out in domestic violence nonprofits. I was working in some recovery places. And sometimes you might think, well, you know, that doesn't actually grow my business because these aren't the people who can afford my services, which is true, which is why I have a nonprofit now, as well as what I do in my business. But there's people who sit on those boards. There are people who work in those organizations. And when they see what you can do with with others that don't have the access, one, they just really appreciate you and they want to support you in other ways, but they also get to see what is it that a nurse coach can do? How do they come alongside of these people? So, Katie and I were kicking around what is a way for us as an organization to do things to give back and bring us together. And so we're going to be talking about that more. Um, and Katie, are you? I can't see you
I
if
am.
you
I'm
you
here.
are. Okay. So I'd love for, feel free to like share just a little bit, not that we even know what we're going to do, but we're just wanting you guys to help us process how do we give back within our community.
Yeah, like it was just I was having some thoughts of like how can we just get started with doing something, and then Megan had the idea of potentially partnering with a larger nonprofit. I really don't know anything about such things. So like I'm curious of like how we'll get all of the moving pieces to work out, but I do think it sounds like a really great way for us to like as a an organization, but then as individuals within our own communities to be able to give back and to elevate the profession of nurse coaching in our specific regions. And so that people can just really see what we can do. But then also it's not only a way that we're being in service through our organization as a whole, but I am a big fan of keeping my business very service oriented and service focused. So I gift complimentary coaching to people all the time. So yeah, so I'm really excited for what we will brainstorm out, and excited to hear if anybody else has any input and ideas on it.
And I did love Katie's. I had an idea. And again, this is what it's all about is like brainstorming together. This is what it like that messy middle of just like, hey, here's what we're thinking. Let's see. We might have someone who's an expert in this. And if we share it, you'll be able to help guide it. But working with teachers as
Mhm.
they're coming into the school year, and supporting them. And I love that Katie was saying there's just so many similarities between teachers and nurses. We are very empathetic. We give, give, give. There's not a lot giving back. It's a very thankless job most of the time. But without nurses, without teachers, what is our world really? And so I love that idea. So if you have experience, you know, our regional meetings are where we take kind of the discussions from the national meeting and we start trying to work out how do we go about doing those things. So I wanted to plant that seed so you could be thinking and join the regional meeting and talk more with your regional leaders.
And Elise has made a comment in the chat about nursing school faculty, and I absolutely agree with that, Elise. Like, very underserved population. Um, I have also like that could even be potential to get a ball rolling into something else. I know you say that everyone's all about the students, but what I witnessed where I am located in a very rural, underserved part of Virginia, like nursing students go into nursing school and burn out. They are typically non-traditional students, and they are leaving the profession in droves because they are entering the workforce already burnt out from nursing school and life itself. So even like I have wanted to coach nursing students, I have not exactly figured out how to make that happen yet. So yeah, like the faculty, the teachers, the like there's so many opportunities for groups that really need it.
Well, I love all of the conversation that's happening there in the chat. So I know it's going to be a great thing that we just figure it out together. And so I'm going to just open it up for the last, 5 minutes or so for anybody who wants to share maybe something that they're walking in and struggling with, or they want to see us bring into our community as a way to support each other. Can raise your hand if you have anything that you want to say. Okay, Linda.
Hey,
Hello.
hi. I was just going to say I have done a lot of things with schools and teachers and speaking at teachers' conferences and going into the schools, and also even with medical school students who are interested in a more holistic approach. So, I can bring this to the regional meeting as well, but there's some great opportunities out there, and teachers really are. I did a talk on being trauma informed in the schools, and so there's a lot of opportunities where we as nurse coaches with our training can help. And I love that idea of going into the schools and helping teachers and other service areas who are also experiencing burnout.
Thank you, Linda. Now my brain is going because I remember now all of the work that you have done in schools. And I love that idea of, even if we built out something as a group, a workshop or things like that, that we could replicate and go in and do kind of across the nation in wherever we can go in and talk. So great conversation here. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Thoughts, questions, things we can do better? Yeah, go,
I had
Peggy.
an idea that it's hurricane season. I'm in the South, and it'd be kind of be interesting to do something with the first responders who put their life on the line and the first ones to show up and help. Yeah, there's just a lot of efforts in those directions to kind of guide them into a nonviolent way of helping, because they do hit the community in a very aggressive way often. And it's helpful it'll be a good adjunct to their training, how to communicate with the public. Yeah, and we could come up with some plan to
I
coach
love
them.
that.
It would be interesting.
Well, and the great thing is if we have a couple different options of things that we could do together, you could find what you're most passionate about. Because again, this is about operating out of passion and overflow versus like doing something just to do it and say you're doing it. And so finding something that aligns with your identity and what you are looking to create in the world, I think is a really important aspect of not burning out and being able to stay in a place of giving from a healthy foundation, grounded. So that's something important for us to all keep in mind as we're going a lot of different directions for sure. So thank you, Peggy, for that idea. We've got 2 ideas. Anybody else? I think I saw something about crime. I am passionate and work with an organization that is for crime victims. And they're, of all types of crimes. And being able to help people in that space after being violated or having really hard things that are so traumatic, having that support could be another opportunity for people. Linda, I see you have your hand again.
Yeah. Oh,
and I don't mean again. I'm sorry. Like that
once
sounded
again,
like
I need to speak.
No. I love you, Linda. Like, please. That's not at all what I meant.
Yeah,
So
I also have worked with victims of crime and leniency, and been a victim, and we certainly could help in that. That's not what I raised my hand about. I want to make sure that I get the opportunity to say this, that you guys know, or some of you know, that I'm in the process of getting my doctorate in whole health leadership, which I'm graduating in December. So I've got to get my capstone coming along. And for my capstone, I want to interview nurse coaches because my capstone is about the value that we bring to healthcare. And so anyone who is interested in having me interview them about what you're doing and the value that you bring, if I don't know, Megan, if there's some way that I
Could
can
you
get
drop your
those.
email? Could you drop
Okay,
your email, Linda, in the chat? And anybody who wants to support Linda in that, send her an email or
absolutely.
reach out to
Yes.
me and I can, if you don't get it out of the chat, I'm happy to help connect.
Good deal.
Awesome. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in the chat. I recently met Erin Koop and she spoke on burnout, recovery, prevention, self-awareness, and authenticity based on her book. Would highly suggest for a future meeting speaker. Amazing. I love that you're thinking about meeting speakers. I think having people come in and talk to us is such a powerful thing. So feel free to reach out to me. If you have speaker ideas, I am going to drop my email into the chat. And if you will email that to me, that would be awesome. And anyone, if we can't do it on the national level, we can do it on the regional level and we can do it on the local level. And then what we also can do is, because they're recorded, we can then share those out, just because we only have one a quarter. But if there's people who want to speak to us, we will definitely then circulate it to the greater community. Because we had regional speakers last month. That was really great, or last quarter. Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking an hour and a half out of your evening to be with us and to learn with us and to grow with us. And I am so excited. If there is something you're very passionate about and we haven't talked about it, but you want to get involved, you can email me as well, because we have lots of opportunities and we will make one for you if you're passionate about it. So have a great evening. We'll look forward to seeing you at regional meeting next month. Take care.